All right, Monday the 17th, got this car in here for some APR brake ducts. This is a car that we built a little while back, SOS turbo kit. We did the nice shaved calipers, they look really good, some yellow seat belts, there's yellow stitching in here. Really good looking car, but we're gonna get the brake ducts on it, and that'll be a nice next step to get this car exactly where it needs to be. All right, I've got all the store orders printed out. Only 12 today, not too bad. A lot of smaller orders, nothing too huge. So we got that printed out. We're gonna go pack the store up and then we can work on that yellow car out there. All right, so the APR kit comes with ducts that fit the front bumper. It comes with backing plates for the rotors. It comes with hose, brackets, clamps, instructions. So once you have your car to this point, you can start taking parts out of the box and using them. This car also has a turbocharger, so I'm really hoping that the duct fits around this. I'm gonna have to put the bumper back on and peel this away, the lower thing here, and see if I can see from the back side if I'm even going to have enough room to get the duct in. All right, so before I cut a big hole in the bumper, I got a good idea for where this is at, and it's gonna be in the way. So the only thing I could do here is take the pipe off the end of the intercooler, cut it off, weld it on down low, and that way this will be a lot lower, get it closer to this plastic area here, and then the duct should have enough room. I got to do it to both sides, so that'll be another couple hours, and the customer said the car actually can't be here till tomorrow. They need it, so we're gonna go ahead and get this bumper put back on, get the wheels put back on, everything back together, and he can be on his way. All right, it's Tuesday. We got another 12 orders, a shirt, some emblem fixtures, pulley bearings, a couple shift boots. Just got those back in stock. So if you were waiting for one, we just got a bunch of red, bunch of black, some blue, some yellow, and we got a couple silvers left too. So get your shift boots, they're back. And then today on the lift, we have this nice red S2000 just in for some maintenance stuff. All right, so I've emptied out his trunk and it looks like we're doing a complete suspension overhaul. We have rear lower ball joints, front lower ball joints, tie rods, all the control arms, rear lower control arm. We've got a starter, sway bar end links, TCT, and then he has some extras. So the clutch pedal buttons, we got to take the clutch pedal out. That O-ring, I believe, is the O-ring on the front of the engine. Some extra VTEC solenoid bolts because he thinks that it might be leaking because it's over torqued. We got to look at the negative battery terminal. The trunk release button doesn't work. The fan doesn't come on. We got to know if the injectors are good. It ran, so I'd like to think they are. And the car struggles to start when hot. So I'm thinking that might be the battery terminal because it doesn't look that great. But we're going to get all this stuff put in. But first, we got to call him and tell him it will not be done today. He's going to have to pick it up tomorrow. All right, so the new tie rods are in. The new Honda upper control arms. And the roll center adjusters on the front, all done. And the new end links. Where are they at? There they are. Got the new end links on. So now I'm starting on the back. So I've got the rear knuckle off so I can do the ball joint. And we got to, of course, wipe the rotor down because hands got a little dirty. So let's get that ball joint out and we'll get the roll center adjuster put in the back. Then we can put this back together and start putting the rear arms in. All right, in the rear upper arm, extended ball joints and the little tie rods here and new sway bar end links, both sides. So basically all these parts are no longer in the car and all the new ones are in there replacing them. So the only thing left now is we have a starter to put in, one clutch button, and we'll look at some oil leaks along with doing that TCT. All right, the new starter's in. Let's see if it sounds any better when it starts. Sounds like brand new. Let's try that one more time. That is so much better. So I did clean the negative battery terminal. You can't really see it from here, but it was pretty dirty. I got that cleaned with some sandpaper on a stick on the drill. Good morning, YouTube. It's Thursday. This car still here. Just has one more thing to do. I don't know what I've recorded. I don't think I'm doing the best at it. So I have, here, I'll get this marker out if I can. Brake fluid, done. The only thing left to do is the clutch fluid. I checked the coolant tests out just fine. So everything else is done. I only have to notify that there's a crack in the transmission, which is pretty sad. There's really no way to fix it, at least not very easily, without, you know, possibly pulling the transmission, welding on the case, re-tapping the hole. So we're gonna hope for the best on that one, and we'll let them know. And also, today's project is back there. So this car here is getting a optional drawer in the trunk. Mounts like to the bottom of the package tray. Kind of reminds me of what a CD changer would look like, so it looks like a fake CD changer. And also a dash cam, and the dash cam has 3 cameras, one pointing out the front, one pointing inside looking at you, and one pointing out the back window. I've never pulled one of these interiors apart, so I need to figure out where I can tuck all the wires inside all the pillars to get the camera all the way to the back and hardwired in there. So we'll see how it goes. All right, so I'm going over the instructions for the trunk drawer and doing some measurement stuff because everything is in millimeters. All the drills are in millimeters. Obviously, I have some American drill bits because that just happens to be where we're located. So I don't have anything in millimeters. I'm measuring everything out because they want 8 millimeters deep and 10 millimeters and a rotor broach bit, which is actually like a spot weld cutter. But the only thing we're using it for was actually just enlarging one hole. So I've measured everything out. 3/8 will do the trick because I measured the actual nut that goes in the hole, which is under 3/8. So what I'm going to do in the trunk is the bit here, see how it's a little smaller at the end? I'm gonna put a small hole in the center of this bowl and put the drill bit through it so that when I drill the metal, all the metal falls into that bowl and I don't get it all over the trunk of this car. It's only one hole that we have to drill in the trunk, and the rest of them are in a piece of carpet that comes out of the car. So we're gonna get the drilling. All right, so here's what I'm talking about. Drill bit through the bowl, put some tape on the other side to keep it sturdy. You're not gonna wanna spin it very fast, you're just gonna fling everything out of it that you're trying to keep in it. So we're gonna run it on a slow speed. We're gonna enlarge that hole because, like I said, we're only enlarging an existing hole to put a jack nut in. So let's go ahead and get that drilled out. So the customer supplied some touch-up paint for the hole when I had to enlarge it, and the paint is dried up. So I'm gonna look around and see if I've got something, hopefully in white. Well, that shouldn't really matter, it's gonna be hidden, but I'm gonna try and find some white touch-up paint around here. All right, so we got some white paint on there. I don't think it's gonna matter if it matches 100% or not because the trunk is hardly painted as is. So I'm gonna let that dry and now we'll go drill the carpet. All right, so here's the carpet piece that we're gonna drill. We have to enlarge this hole and make a hole in here. The hole in there says to be 40 millimeters, which is about the size of that cutout. So it's gonna be a pretty big hole there, but shouldn't be too big a deal. All right, so for this hole that needs to be 16 millimeters, I'm going to use a step bit because these actually work pretty decent in stuff like this, like a plastic carpet. And it's supposed to be 16 millimeters, and the closest on here is 11/16, which is 17 millimeters. So I don't think 1 over is going to bother it in any way. And then yeah, we gotta find out what I'm going to use for that 40 millimeter. And what you can do, a little tip for these, if you're looking to do that 11/16, you can take a marker and color in the 11/16 one so you know which one you want to be on. Make it nice and visible. clean that up a little bit with a nice new razor blade. All right, so some of my hole saws do have millimeters on them. This one's 1.5 inches and it says 38 millimeter. I'd like to assume by the time this cuts, it'll be 2 millimeters over for sure. Let me clean the aluminum here off of it, and we'll take it and actually use it to mark our center, because like I said, it fits in that little cutout. So we're gonna mark our center there, and then we'll drill that out with this hole saw. All right, so the little nuts are all installed. There's one up in there. Now we can go ahead and put the carpet back on and then start getting our brackets in. There's all the brackets. There's the foam tape installed, I'm guessing, to just keep chafe off of that seat cord. All right, so there is the bracket all installed, all the brackets in. We'll go ahead and slide the drawer in and see what this thing looks like. All right, that's it. I put the instructions in there. You're not supposed to put any more than 7 pounds in it. You can be killed or seriously hurt if you do not follow these instructions. So make sure no more than 3 kilograms, about 7 pounds. You don't want to die. So there it is. All right, so I had a customer drop off outside and I forgot to start recording this car. It's here for transmission fluid and a foam shifter isolator. Now I've already done the transmission fluid because I got to talking to that guy out there. I don't know if you can see that car. Got talking to him and forgot to start recording. So transmission fluid's done. Foam shifter isolator is going to be done here in a few minutes, and then we're going to re-torque the axles, and then this one can be on its way. All right, we have the shifter foams available in the LHT store. So if you do buy one and want to put it in, all you're going to need, so long as your shift knob is factory, is a 14 millimeter wrench. What we're going to do is loosen the lock nut underneath the shift knob, pull the e-brake, pull the center console, and then we should be able to get the old foam out, or at least what's left of it. Get that foam put in, console down, e-brake down, tighten the lock nut, and you're done. So you can see this foam's not in great shape. It's pretty much deteriorated. We'll see if we can get a nice hunk of it up without it falling apart here. It's definitely going to come out in pieces, but it's not so bad to where it's just kind of moldable. I mean, you probably could kind of smash this up and it'd mold into a little ball, but I don't want to try it because then it gets sticky. And then when you're in here too, you want to make sure that your rubber boot is snapped down all the way, because you'd be amazed at how much noise comes through that rubber boot if it's not snapped down. So if that little plastic ring, if one of the tabs is cracked on it and it's not snapped down all the way, you will get a lot of noise from that. I don't know if John showed it in a video, but I have recorded it. I think he recorded it when I was in the car. So now that that's out of there, you can take your new foam, which goes in there, and start feeding it in. And that was a complete real-time install of the shifter isolator foam. So all you need to do now is reverse order or removal. Set that console back in, plug in your 2 plugs, e-brake down, shift knob on, tighten that nut up when your shift pattern is straight, and you're good to go. All right, I would wait for all the noise outside to stop, but I'm not gonna bother. Normally I'm gonna turn the fan off because it's really hot. So if you think your axle torque is the noise you're hearing, and you look in and you see the yellow paint line and the yellow dot on the stake, this means that they have not been done. This is their original setting. So if you see this, do the axle torque. If you don't see this and it's moved, then you shouldn't need to do it. But this one definitely needs it. This is a complete original setting. So we're gonna go ahead and loosen this one up, grease the face, grease the threads, and retorque it. All right, so there's two basic theories to retorquing your axles on an S2000. Honda did put out a TSB that said to change your torque setting from 180 to 220. Some people on the internet say that's not enough. Maybe because Honda didn't think it was enough in the first place to do the 180 and they changed it. So maybe that's why. They're like, well, if Honda said it's 220, no, we need to do more than that. So go on the internet, do your searching. You can do 220, you can do what the internet says, but just do whatever you want and see if your problem goes away. All right, now that they've been retorqued, you can see that it is past there, roughly, I don't know, 50, 60 degrees. Restake that axle, and whatever you do, do not use a sharp point chisel. That is not the correct way to stake an axle. You need something that's blunt, about the width of that, even smaller maybe, but definitely don't use a sharp edge chisel. And once you do that, put your center cap on and line it up with the valve stem if you so care, and your job is done. S2000 intake tubes are all finally welded, cleaned out, and should be in the store soon. These will fit your stock airbox 2000 to 2009. If you have a 2006 through 2009, just put it in the notes and we can drill a hole and put a grommet for your intake air temp sensor somewhere on the bottom so you don't see it.
So we used to make these back in the day, but they're kind of time consuming and expensive to make. They are 100% titanium. As you see, they're pie cut. So they got that really, really beautiful finish. So what makes ours different than others? Well, there is a few on the market. One thing about ours is it comes from the size of the throttle body. This is actually a 3-inch, so it's a little bit larger than your throttle body. We have a silicone connector that fits on your factory throttle body and will go up to a 70. And it actually merges up to the true size of your intake filter. So we recommend you run the K&N filter in your factory airbox and do the airbox mod. There's a few people have given me some good feedback on that, even some guys that do the tracking. So there's no real performance benefit from this. It just looks cool. It might be a little bit lighter than the rubber one. People worried about heat soak. You'd be actually surprised. The air is going through here at a pretty good rate. Is no real heat soak. This is such a short piece and it's covered by a lot of the plastic. We did some before and after testing. I'm not trying to push this on you, just telling you it's available. We have 6 of them made and that is it. Depending on supply and demand, we might make more. We may not because these take so long to make and they're pricey. This will bolt onto your factory airbox if you do have a 2006 to 2009. We do add an intake air temp sensor. We actually put it slightly under so you don't see it. This is for a cleaner look. So you are going to need a filter on your valve cover. And if you have a 2000 to 2005, the hose that comes up from your air pump, the one that would come in the side, you're going to need a filter for that too. All it does is expel air. This is just for a much, much cleaner look. So there it is in the store now, LHTperformance.com. So another cool project coming up. By the way, I was off for a few days. George, thanks for holding down the fort. I did try and take care of him, made sure he had food all week and all that good stuff, make sure he was happy. So again, I really appreciate you, George. This is a cool project coming up. This is going to be for some charge tubing. This is the polished titanium by Ticon. If you've ever dealt with polishing titanium, it is a real pain. This is already polished from Ticon. It's going to look beautiful. Can't wait to show you this. It is on a car that we built. One of our good customers has actually now turned into a good friend. This is for his car. Stay tuned. Coming up on the next video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, enjoy your cars.